we're discussing something deeper. Israel got in, they're inside, at the core of Iran, with detailed information about military operations, secret plans leaked before they were even carried out, surgical explosions in places where only the top leadership had access. This isn't coincidence, it's elite intelligence.
Mossad appears as a central figure in the major disturbances that have spread across all 31 provinces of Iran. The complexity of the phenomenon can't be explained only by internal dissatisfaction with Ali Khamenei's regime, but also by the presence of a highly organized clandestine structure capable of turning protests into massive movements with a high degree of violence. This ability to coordinate, combined with Mossad's experience in destabilization operations, along with the support of the CIA, it reinforces the idea that this is not a spontaneous outburst, but a coordinated action with well-defined political objectives. The level of weaponry and the discipline of some irregular units among the protesters indicate that there is external direction imposing military logic on the movement. With more than 100 regime agents killed during the demonstrations, the numbers go beyond the standard for common protests and reveal the presence of a hidden force acting as a centralized and effective command. In this context, Mossad is known as one of the world's most lethal intelligence agencies, operating within a scenario that mixes popular spontaneity with hybrid warfare strategies. We'll cover Mossad's skill in infiltrating Iran and destabilizing it from within. Welcome to Barrick's Life.
A video released by Israel shows what are said to be Mossad agents, the Israeli intelligence agency, infiltrated on Iranian soil. Take a look.
Mossad is internationally recognized for its ability to infiltrate and operate deep behind enemy lines, using advanced techniques of disguise, information gathering, and psychological warfare. Let's get to the subject. To everyone, anticipating movements against Zionism, which is the political and ideological movement that led to the creation of the State of Israel as a home and refuge for the Jewish people. Among Mossad's practices are the use of double agents and manipulation of narratives to destabilize adversaries, and the use of cutting-edge technologies and weaponry and surveillance, which ensures an advantage in highly complex scenarios. Israel also benefits from international cooperation, especially with the CIA, carrying out joint operations that expand the reach and precision of their actions. This partnership has already been seen in recent missions, monitoring leaders and groups considered hostile, where the sharing of intelligence data made it possible to anticipate movements and neutralize threats. Recent surveillance operations in countries like Venezuela have shown that Mossad and the CIA work side by side in missions of tracking and gathering strategic information, providing military forces with crucial data beforehand, before any direct action. This synergy highlights Mossad's status as one of the world's most lethal and effective espionage and unconventional warfare agencies. The Iranian people's revolt against Ali Khamenei's regime shows decades of oppression and growing dissatisfaction. Women in particular face severe restrictions imposed by the system, from mandatory dress codes to limitations on access to basic rights, becoming symbols of resistance against repression. Dissidents and political opponents are persecuted, imprisoned, or silenced, which intensifies the feeling of social suffocation. The explosion of recent protests has its roots in serious economic problems, such as record inflation, ever-increasing food prices, and the devaluation of the national currency, factors that turn discontent into a broader, popular movement.
You are not Khamenei, you are not Khamenei.
What began as protests over economic demands quickly evolved into a broader outcry for the end of the current regime, directly challenging Khamenei's authority. In Iran, politics is marked by a peculiar structure. Although there is an elected president, his power is limited, since central decisions are controlled by the supreme leader and the Guardian Council. This concentration of power makes the system rigid and not very responsive to popular demands, further fueling the revolt. Thus, the protests not only denounce the economic crisis, but also expose dissatisfaction with a regime that restricts freedoms and keeps the people under constant surveillance and repression. In practice, Mossad operates by infiltrating social networks and opposition groups, spreading narratives that broaden the reach of the protests and provide political direction to the movement. Psychological warfare techniques, the use of undercover agents, and field intelligence gathering allow them to identify local leaders and encourage coordinated actions, turning spontaneous protests into more organized mobilizations. This type of operation seeks to exploit the internal weaknesses of the Iranian regime, especially during times of economic and social crisis. Meanwhile, Mossad relies on the CIA to boost the impact of these mobilizations. The cooperation includes sharing intelligence data, electronic monitoring, and logistical support, ensuring that the protests not only express popular dissatisfaction, but also acquire a strategic dimension capable of destabilizing the regime. By guiding the movement using precise information and manipulation, these agencies seek to weaken the authority of Ali Khamenei and create conditions for the removal of a government considered a frontline enemy of Israel. In this way, popular mobilization becomes part of a larger mechanism of hybrid warfare, where foreign intelligence works to accelerate the erosion of internal power. The supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, has sought to consolidate strategic alliances with leftist governments and authoritarian regimes around the world, trying to strengthen his position in the face of the isolation imposed by the West. Close ties with Brazil's current president, dictator Nicolás Maduro, and Chavismo in Venezuela show a political and ideological network that also reaches Russia, from Vladimir Putin, with whom Iran has deepened military and economic ties in recent years. These partnerships allow the Iranian regime to partially escape international sanctions, as well as reinforce its narrative of resistance against American imperialism and Zionism. China, in turn, plays a central role in this alignment, maintaining solid trade partnerships and being the largest importer of Iranian oil, even in the face of sanctions imposed by the United States. This scenario highlights a clear global division among major powers. On one side, the bloc formed by Iran, Russia, China, and regional allies. On the other, the United States and its NATO partners, with partner backing unconditional support for Israel. This polarization raises the risk that local tensions, like in the Middle East, could escalate into a global conflict. Since every regional move can trigger defense mechanisms and international alliances in direct dispute for the balance of power. The coming days could be decisive for a radical change in Iran, where the people are calling for freedom, amid a scenario of growing repression, confirming a global trend that oppressive regimes are no longer tolerated. In this context, the Mossad operates in the shadows to weaken governments that are considered a threat to the people of Israel. The experience of the CIA and Mossad in destabilizing power structures has already proven effective in episodes involving extremist groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, and even in the recent fall of Nicolás Maduro in Venezuela, showing that when American and Israeli intelligence operate together, the skull of special operations rises, emerges from the shadows, and overcomes evil.